Hey, how's it going? I'm going to show you my disclaimer signs. I've got them stuck to the plug. So, yeah, that. And I really want you to look at the part that says always with the spoilers because, as usual, I'm sure I will have something to say about some other show. Some other show. Like, this is a show. I guess it's a show of sorts. A TV show. Like, with cameras, video, like real stuff. The real show. So, I've been watching, or rewatching, I should say, The Expanse, which is an adaptation of a novel series, which I have not read yet. But I didn't know that when I started watching it. I didn't know that it wasn't, just a screenplay thing. But I find that it really appealed to me, like space shows do, anyway. And it really kind of makes me wonder what's going on with me, in a way. Maybe I'll get into that, but usually what I do on Sundays is, well, I mean, it's not so different from what I do every day, but there is a certain tone that the day takes, and the shows that I like to watch on that day sort of follow in that tradition. And I just thought of, like, my mom on Sundays would have the religious shows going because I think none of my family we were Catholics, or they are. And I just say that I'm not, but, like, I don't know if I unbaptized myself or whatever. I just, like, don't participate in the dogmatic stuff, like going to church, and I don't know what there is to even observe anymore. They changed so much. Like, when I was a kid, I always thought Fridays was really a pain in the butt because I didn't like the fact that I couldn't just have my meat. I just like fish. I like fish now, and I actually liked it then, right? Okay, but wow, wash of memories. But when I was little, my grandmother, we would, like, go to the grandmother house and have the dinner, and she made fish. Or I'm not, did I say Sunday? On Friday. So we would go to her house and she would make the fish because you weren't supposed to eat meat if you're a Catholic on Friday. And I know that I had to go to, like, be rushed to the doctor, where you could still go to your doctor's office and they, like, come in and, like, see you. I don't think there were house calls to our place, but I think that was still done then too. Not like an ambulance coming to your house, but an actual doctor showing up. So anyway, let me get out of my covered wagon and talk to you. So, yeah, they would have to take me to the doctor frequently because they would feed me the fish, and my grandmother was a good cook, and I've always had a good appetite, and I'd be, just, what is the word? Well, I don't know, eating the fish with gusto, and inevitably I would end up with a bone in my throat. And I think what it eventually happened was, I don't know why she wouldn't just debone it for me. Obviously, I was too young to do it properly for myself. And also, I think that they just gave it to me and said, I'm sure I asked, are there bones? And I'm sure they said no. And I'm sure, obviously, they missed some. But what ended up finally happening was the doctor was like, give her some bread. and then I was able to pass the bones. And so I buried that for years and years and wouldn't touch a fish, wouldn't go near a fish. Like, if it was out of a can, it was okay. Why am I talking about fish? Oh my gosh. Well, Sundays. So I don't know why I conflated Fish Fridays with Sundays and what the heck that has to do. It might, though. So anyway, the space shows and why I like it so much. How did I get it from there to choking on fish at Grandma's house? Anyway, on the Sundays, I have my shows, like my mom used to watch, like the religious shows, and I have to wonder if she would be as inclined to watch those if she hadn't been like fully like dying of cancer for most of my life. I just wonder. But sometimes we would actually go to the church, but that is not what I want to talk about. Um, but so I watch these shows, and a lot of them are shows from psychics, and one of them is a Sterling Psychic Medium. That's the name of his channel. That's also his name is Sterling. I'm sure he has, I don't know if it's his first name or his surname or what, but that doesn't matter right now either. But I find that often I'll be watching his show, and I started to notice a weird phenomena. I would either be on social media, Twitter. This was back when it was Twitter. I'm not there as much now, and I'm not with it as much as I was when it was Twitter. But anyway, I still post my videos there, and I do go there occasionally. I just don't spend as much time there. But one thing that would happen is I would see something somewhere, like it would be a Cryon channeling. And Cryon is like one of those touchstones for me because of just him saying stuff that's just been true. So here is a subject that I learned about from Cryon, and then there's been like some contention about it and all these different opinions. And the thing, it's about Lemuria. So the thing that would happen is I would see something on Twitter and like comment about it, or I would comment about what I had seen on Twitter or in one of my videos. And you don't always know who's watching. Like, people can just watch and not subscribe or say anything so that their name doesn't come up, and they may not like it. So you just don't have any idea, like, whose eyes are on it and what is going on. But what would happen is Sterling's show comes on Sundays, and so the week would go by, and whatever would happen, whatever I would say, I'd get to Sterling's show on Sunday, and then somebody would ask a question, and it would be like so much about what I had said and include details of it to where I'd be going, and you know, people can think of more than one person, more than one people can think of the same thing at once. Gosh, I'm like drooling. Pardon. So, yeah, but more than one person can think of the same thing at once. It just felt like something, and then it also felt like weird because what the person would be asking is they would be questioning what I said, and I just felt like when that would happen, I would just have to be like, you're being ridiculous. They definitely did not see whatever little squib you wrote. How could that? There's millions of people. But it happened over and over and over. And then it stopped happening for a while. And then yesterday, this kind of freaked me out. If you watch my videos regularly, then you'll know, like 2 or 3 videos ago, I pulled the Watcher's card out of one of my decks and was talking about that and stuck to the subject on a certain level. Like, I talked about what I talked about, how it connected to what I was talking about, and not about everything about Watchers. And I'm pretty sure I made it clear that I'm not an expert on the Bible stuff, and cited where I pulled the information that I spoke on. And one of the things that it said was that the Watchers, this is from out of the Bible, this is not me, okay? This is a quote, me quoting a quote, okay? And it said that the Watchers were angels that left heaven. So, yesterday, someone came on and had a question for Sterling, which you can ask on his community board from Monday through Thursday. So, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday I did this video, I think. It would have had to have been then for the question to have come up this Sunday, because the reason why you can ask a question until Thursday is because so many come in that have to be gone through, and then, they have to decide which ones are not repeats, because whatever. They go through them and then release the questions that he's going to answer on the show to Sterling. So it could be, sorry, getting a little squawky. It could be that my video came out before or after the time when you could enter a question, which makes it even more strange. But the question the person had was, were the Watchers angels or aliens? And I felt like, are you questioning me? But I really did feel like that, because it's not like they were questioning me personally, but they were questioning what I was saying. And I always say, I am citing this, and the reason why I'll go forward with it is because it feels okay. And the reason why I keep going forward with my show, even though I question myself constantly, like, man, I need, like, confidence helper and imposter syndrome serum. Like, I'm constantly having to, like, reassure myself, it's fine, it's okay. But then, also, I get reassurances from other sources. I'm not asking, I just come upon it. And I can't speak for other people, because everybody's got some a psychic kink of their own. But it feels right, and then I'll go watch another psychic source, and they'll say something so similar or direct that I know that, like, it's a message for me because of the communications I've had prior. Like, that's the way I get them a lot of times is, well, it's the same way with everyone, but I said that my thing is a little different because I don't get out as much, so I'm not seeing as many things that could be telling me things like signs and license plates, and I'm not at a job, so papers are not coming across my desk, so I'm not seeing repeating numbers and things like that. So the ways that and it's so funny because they're the ones that I even got this from, what I'm telling you, the Arcturians. They're like, we will find a way to reach you if you want to receive us. And they even said it can be in your television shows, it can be in a book, and if you don't, they even said if you don't get out and about, we will find whatever you're focusing your attention on and put the message there. So it's like, I get affirmation from them, and also I've gotten it from Sterling as well. So here's the thing. I feel like, well, I made a note of this. Where did I write it? Oh, okay, so no pitting allowed. No Sterling v. Cryon, no pitting another non-recognized psychic or sensitive against anyone else who aren't here to check each other's work out. Like to find something wrong with it. Like, that's we aren't here to check each other's work, nor to figure out every inconsistency, because all of this scrutiny amongst the awakening set is very human and linear and kind of punitive and judgmental. But there will okay, so I had like a breakthrough in a sense, but it's kind of like it was there all along. All there is love and fear. So Sterling just said that. And think about that. in our lives, in our perceptions, all there is love and fear. And then all I can think of to interpret that is those things go through our filters, and the world we live in is what comes out. And all of the everything else, like all of this that you can see around us, we, by deciding to go forward with this future potential, create the world that we exist in. Like all of our collective combined intentions, we like give each other leave to do our thing, because it's gonna be a part of their thing as well, and enhance the everybody's thing that's all connected. Like so I have more. So all of the loving and giving without strings is, I feel like, what the love is about, and the strings and everything else is human set dressing. And so I feel like the challenge is not to be challenging each other and what we all say. Like, definitely look, if you're curious and you're interested, completely fine and acceptable. But I don't think that because a lot of times from different sources I'll hear, like, you don't need to try to figure everything out. Really, what your deal is here to just be love, to and right now, in the context of what I'm saying, to me that feels like someone is like coming out with something that they're saying and they feel like good about it. I think it's not a good idea for you to come along because you know something else and like dive bomb it. Like, so you know better and you needed the person to know that. I feel like that's not so loving. That feels kind of competitive, and that would put it in the fear column. So I just wanted to say that, so said. But I have something else I want to say too. And I have wanted to talk about this, but then I haven't, because of like a fear thing, because I don't want people to leave me. But here's the thing. I hadn't been on Facebook for like 5 years, and then when Twitter got bought by Musk, I feel like it took a dump, and I don't like it as much. I don't really like it much at all anymore. So I don't go there much anymore, but I kind of have left Facebook for a similar reason. Going back, 5 years is kind of a long time, and I've definitely gone through some personal change, and I knew that if I went back, because it was starting to happen a little bit before I left, that I could either say what I wanted to say, what I feel, and what I'm saying, that I just want to share, because I was guided to share what I'm going through in my own awakening experience, and just like the things that get you through life, so that's basically what I do here with this channel. But on Facebook, when I went back, I was like, I know people already leave when they see a lot of what I have to say these days. And when I went back to Facebook, I actually talked about this with a friend, my homie. And I told him that I was like, I'm going to go on there, and I know people are going to hate what I'm saying, and they're going to bail. And he was like, fuck them. Like, if they can't take it, fuck them. You're not saying, like, evil stuff. You're not bad, So he didn't say that, but I mean, that was the vibe I got, and that is certainly how I feel. I'm sorry if what I'm saying is unacceptable for someone for any reason, but particularly what I did not want to go through was sending out a bunch of friend requests and then having them see what I had to say and dump me. So I didn't. I think I finally sent out one after I was like, okay, so I was right. This is how it's going to be. Because that's what happened. People fled. And so there's a particular thing about that I want to discuss. There is a person that was my friend. And I know her family. And I know her kids. And when I came back, I started saying that I had a person in my life who everyone always said, be careful what you say around them. You don't want to upset them. And this person is like, for me, they're hard to like get along with, and that's a pain in the ass. So they're a pain in the ass to me. But this is not someone that I have spent a lot of time with. They now have kids, but I've never met their kids. This person is a male. This person is a relative. So this person was crazy. Like, if I'd be in the same room, he'd be bitching at me for breathing too loud. And that's what I was talking about. This other person, this female, they're like that. You can't make noises around them, and if you don't want to get on their shit, which is a pain in the ass, because they become a pain in the ass, then you have to watch what you say around them. But I was not talking about this person. But this person and their family fully thought I was, and they like quit me. No one said anything. No one asked a question. Everybody just made assumptions. So this is what I knew was coming if I went back there and was just myself with what I had to say. And my homie is right, because like people took offense and ran off without even bothering to find out, like, you know, were you talking about me? Were you talking about my relative? They didn't do that, but they just ran off anyway. So that for me falls in the fear column of, I don't want to hear that. I don't like it coming from you. I don't want to hear it coming from anyone. I don't want to hear it. Like all of them. I mean, I don't know what else to think, because no one said, are you talking about me? You have a problem? You have something to say? It wouldn't even have to come off that aggressive. I mean, this is someone I've known for over 20 years. And the same goes for all of their people. Like, anyone could have just said, are you talking about my so-and-so? Is this my so-and-so you're talking about? Are you talking about me? No one did that. And I didn't come at anybody. So, that's been bugging me. And it just feels like I'm not out there trying to pit myself against people or be better than anyone, or like, if you're my friend and I have a problem with you, I'm going to come to you with the problem. So yeah, it's been bothering me. It's been on my mind, and it just kind of, well, it pisses me off, because I was trying to avoid all of that in the first place. All I can say is, the people that are still there, I'm very grateful that you didn't make assumptions and you can just accept me and what I'm saying, because it's just new stuff put in with all of the old stuff. I'm still me. I'm still the same me I always was. Well, you know, we all change and evolve, so not exactly the same, but you know, for the most part, the same. So, I actually do have cards that I pulled. And I do have a few notes on them. Where's what I was looking at? Everything's all confused. Uh-oh. I hope that thing where you really can't hear my radio playing, because I don't want to get in trouble. I turned it down. As long as Sting doesn't come on, it should be okay. For some reason, his voice is really, it just penetrates and ends up on my video, and I have to start over. I think it's turned down enough. So, I pulled 3 cards, and the first card I pulled was from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck, because I always pull those first for some reason. And it's the number 7 card, Lay of the Land, Ancestral Wisdom. So, I've had cycles on my mind a lot, and I know some ended and some began, because that's how cycles work. They're circular that way. And speaking of circular, notice all the circulars on the ground all over the place. Now, I always get this howling at the moon. That's what I always think when I see this card. But really, for some reason, this person, I feel like they're doing some sort of ritualistic type thing. They may be up there, like, in ecstasy. There's something to me about standing, like they could be fully nude, actually, as part of the ritual, just to absorb the light that's reflecting back off of the moon. Like, I feel like that's a part of it. You can even see the light reflected here, like once it goes past the shadow of the rock there, it's pretty lit up. But anyway, this person for some reason is like in a religious ecstasy or trance state or something, because the cycles are changing. They're there to like mark the change happening and sort of usher in, I guess usher in the new cycle, cycles. And they have a level of understanding. I feel like they can look at the cycles, and because they're so familiar with it, because that's like their shamanic expertise, they can read the cycles and sort of read the future, like the Farmer's Almanac in a way. So that's what I feel like is going on here. And this esoteric stuff, like, you can't just come out and say like one thing and expect someone to just know what you're talking about. Like, it takes some education, I guess, and it's usually you have to educate yourself, which is interesting. But there's schools to learn these things. I just learned that they actually exist in the now like a month ago. So for years, but they've always been sort of secret, and I guess now they're out in the open, but they also cost a lot of money, which I have a lot of not that. So yeah, YouTube and meditation and seeking and searching all by my lonesome. So if my conclusions don't exactly match yours, that's okay. And you don't have to figure it out or fix it, because whatever anybody's doing is right. All of us, everything, good or bad, however we perceive it, it's right. I will say that when Sterling was talking about this person's question, or there was another question, I'm sorry, I'm just blending them all together in my mind, but there was another person's question that was about Lemuria. Lemuria is a subject that Cryon talks about a lot, and like Atlantis, there are so many theories about where their locations were, but I learned something interesting today. And I'm going to talk about the 3 places where I've heard people talk about where Lemuria is and what it was. So I'll start with Cryon first, because that's where I first even heard of it. He says Lemuria was in Hawaii. Actually, what he says is it is in Hawaii. And he says that all of Hawaii is a sunken landmass, and just the mountaintops and of what we call islands now are what is visible. But he can tell stories, or if you want to know, you can look at his whole catalog, and he tells stories of Lemuria often, and how before there was the floods, which are the biblical floods the cyclic melting of the ice poles on this planet. Anyway, for some reason, the waters rose. But I've heard him tell stories about natives of that island, which, I mean, I guess it wasn't Hawaii then, it was Lemuria, according to Cryon. I'm just reporting what he says. And he says that they had to climb to where the islands are now, from where when the water level was low, and it was their sacred places, where their temples were, where like they had male centers and female centers where they did their I don't know, rituals. But that's not so different from like Native Americans have separate places for the men and women. Like the men have their steam places. I can't think of the name. And I guess some of the hogans are like gender appropriate. So that's not so different of stuff that I've learned. But he also says that later on, Lemuria became Atlantis. Or actually, he says the Lemurians came to Atlantis. It's very confusing, okay? So, but Cryon says Hawaii, okay? This other person I saw for a while on YouTube, and it was just, it was like an older, it was a story of a scientist from like the 1800s, and he thought the Lemuria was where the lemurs lived in Galapagos, so that was Lemuria to him. That's the only person that I've heard say that it had to do with lemurs. And then yesterday, Sterling said that Lemuria was actually a sunken landmass off of India. So, and then he said that Atlantis was in Hawaii. And then another person had asked, like, if all these people are saying different things, which one is right? Is the Akashic Record the right thing? And can it change? Here's what Sterling said. He said, the Akashic Record, Akashic, I never call it that. I always call it the Akashic. I don't know why I'm saying it different right now. Now I'm choking. Sorry for questioning. Anyway, he said it doesn't change. I have this theory, because we don't really remember what we put in our life blueprints or pre-birth life path, which is what the life blueprint means. I mean, I don't remember. So I just feel like when things happen in life, when we feel like we're headed one way and then something happens that completely throws off our path and we start something completely else in life, well, that's like your life path that you've planned out. But the question has been asked, well, what if something happens like that? And like we think, like, oh, everything blew up and it's wrong and we shouldn't do that. But maybe that's, you know, like according to the path, that's what's supposed to happen. But what I have said is, when things don't go through, like on the cosmic level, I feel like there's always a contingency plan. Like, I feel like the reason why it doesn't change, like whatever the timeline is that the Akashic Record has a recording of, is because the changes are included. Like, that's what a contingency plan is. And also, from our perspective, can we really judge like whether things are going in the right direction or not if we don't even know where we're headed? That's like I was talking about. You can't just pluck something out of the middle of this and expect it to make total sense. Anyway, I'm going to hold off on that. I just want to mention that the card is the 34, which 3 and 4 make 7. 7's like one of those high vibrational numbers, like very close to spirit work type deal. So I pulled 2 cards from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck as well. And I actually, like, I pulled this one, and then this one was like stuck to the back of it when I picked it up, this was stuck to the back of this one when I picked it up. So I was like, not gonna take it, and then I said, oh, I better take it. But here, I will read you, I guess, what it has to say about the swan. I wasn't prepared to do that. I wasn't planning to do that. Because when I pulled it and I looked at it, what I felt like was mirroring each other, which is so obvious. You can't miss it. But who is being mirrored here, or what is being mirrored, was my next question. Because, you know, in talking about all of this sort of way we treat each other behavior and the pitting of each other, like I said, that kind of falls in the fear column. Because why can't someone know something differently from you? It doesn't make it that they know it better. Like, I just feel like they're checking someone's work all the time. That's what it feels like. like if you're like the total, like, butt-kissing teacher's assistant, and you think you just gotta, like, I don't know, crack the whip over the students when you're also a student too. Like, don't do that. And nobody likes that. But the mirroring, the other thing about it is, when it comes to living your existence sort of harmlessly to the other people around you, but in such a way that it's also beneficial, they always talk about, like, leading by example or living by example. So that if people do admire you or whatever, or what you're doing, and don't feel like the need to take you down, because why are you going after somebody else that it doesn't even matter the what? Like, why are you going after somebody else? Just why? I feel like any reason you can come up with is just kind of wiener. Like, don't do it. It's not loving. It doesn't feel loving. You know what? I don't know. That. And this card, I'm getting to you. Hold on. Oh, wait, I was going to read the swan first. Okay, so, swan. Effortless creativity, sensitive mystic, elegant power. The swan represents heightened creativity. In Hindu mythology, the goddess Saraswati, the embodiment of language, creativity, and artistry, rides on the back of this graceful creature. The swan boat. The swan is ready to take us there, to the fluid realm of writing, creating, and reflecting. A series of emotions. What? Sorry. I'm okay. This potent and healing energy is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. When the swan appears, your soul is calling for attention. For solo time. Yeah, the other kind of attention where you're paying attention to you. When it's all about you, it's all Okay, that's the point of the self-care and the love, so that you can be like admired for the right reasons, and lead by example. I don't know why. This potent and healing energy is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. I already read that. When the Swan card appears, your soul is calling for attention, for solo time. An inner voice is waiting to be heard, an inner vision likely to be revealed. How will that happen? Will it be in a video? Will someone say it in a show? Is it going to be on a piece of paper? You never know. I never know. When in balance, infinite creative power. When out of balance, agitated, snippy, lacking vision. To bring into balance, solo time, writing. Okay. There. That's done. So that leaves me this card. And just the immediate, like, I'm not even going to read the book this time, because I just know that it's about patience and just kind of stalwart. Like, stuff's gonna happen around you. People are gonna say stuff, and we gotta kind of like not let it bother us and go back to the well, so to speak. Not pay attention to this outer stuff pitting itself against you, or even really worry about that, because that's kind of fiery too. Like, I don't want to have that kind of thought about anyone, really. I would really rather concentrate on all of the good things that can be learned, and like, if things are a little different, that's like normal. That's life. Variety, the spice. That's just how it goes, you know. We're not going to all be the same. Everything's not going to all be the same. There are certain cardinal points, certain things that are not going to move, not going to change. But, you know, there's so much in life to focus on. I find myself getting better and better at, like, turning off the stuff that makes me have feelings that are like, I don't want these anymore. And, you know, you don't get rid of them, I guess, but you go through them and then, like, fold them up and put them away in your love letter box or whatever. But, you know, you move on. And it takes patience to be able to just sit there and let the world go on and not be so affected by it. I mean, that's kind of like what the book says about this card, is that this guy just is like a rock formation in a way, because they're just part of the landscape, and maybe it's not so disturbing to them in the same way it is for us, because I always talk about how the animals live outside and they have no shelters, and then we build up stuff and put things up that kind of wreck the landscape and end up not being great for us to even be contained by, because, I don't know, we lost the ability to just withstand the elements, I guess. And, one of those abilities, it looks like, to withstand the elements is I don't even know if you could probably call it patience in, like, an animal mindset. They're not, like, making lists and qualifications of everything they're doing. They're just, like, the super most in-the-moment beings out there, you know? And then domesticated animals have to deal with us. That is just another thought that came flying in, because I know right now I'm kind of having a moment with my teenage cat. But that's a different beast. That's a different setting. All of the settings are different. This guy, no settings. Nothing to have a setting on. It just is, and it's there, and the world goes on, and, we come and go. You ever see one of those animations of, like, since time began, with all the civilizations building up, and the little figures running back and forth, and the cities coming up and going down? Guys like this, they're just all, whatever, I'm just here. Do your thing, world. But maybe not so much to each other. In fact, do to yourself, or I guess that sort of came out wrong. I was going to say, do to others as you would do to yourself. That's not a new concept. But I know that I see a lot of people out there screaming and yelling at each other. And this is beyond the questions that I talked about. It's like, I used the word pitting, but it's really not that aggressive. That is my own emotional sense about it, because it feels directed at me, like I said. But let's get real. That's not the same as calling someone out directly and being aggressive and getting in their face to be mean and harmful and hurtful. That is not what that was. And that is not what I want to do, like, I think we all just want to say what we want to say and not have to feel like anything about it. Like, we should just be able to say it. And I know that's crazy, because people always are going to feel something about what you're saying. It's interacting with each other. That's just the way it works. But that is, like, pretty much all I have to say about any of that. Oh, I did pick up a couple of things while I was watching I finally finished it. Dang it, I finished all 6 seasons of The Expanse this evening. But a couple of things were said that really struck me that I wanted to share. And it was a scene where two of the main characters meet after some time apart, and they've been kind of at odds because there's, like, war happening and violence happening out in space. And I know that I mentioned this when I first started talking about The Expanse, but it made me kind of sad that it was, like, what I estimated sometime in the future, I think 2137, and we're still flying around in space. The episode tonight, like, I didn't mention this, but it happened in other episodes. They're out there with rail guns in space. Do you know what a rail gun is? It is a gun. This fires bullets. It's like a weird future thing, but maybe not. I mean, maybe we don't get Star Wars style guns until 2437. I don't know. But the two main characters was sitting together having a cup of coffee, and the line that stood out was we're still killing our way to peace. I don't want to see us take our war crap into space, but here's some crazy talk for people. It's already happening. It's already happened. So but we don't need to, like, perpetuate that, I feel like. I mean, are we ever gonna tire of it? But in the show, the stupid machine guns were able to shoot through the ship. Like, people would be working at their station and the other ship would be firing a rail gun, and they were getting hit like snipers were hitting them, like, in their ships. Do you see the foolishness there? I don't know, maybe you don't. I am annoyed by the fact that I notice, depending on what I'm watching, and it's almost always like the lefty news talkers on YouTube, the ads are invariably, like, way too often, for some game, and it's just like you're sitting there waiting for this ad to end, or you're waiting for the skip to come on because it's just gunfire. Who is making these ads? Are you unaware of like the mass shootings or just shootings in general? I know it's a game, and I know there's some dorky kids on there talking about the game and how much they love it. All I'm hearing is gunfire, and it's upsetting. And that has nothing to do with what I saw in The Expanse, but I just remembered it, and there, you got that. I would prefer not to be bombarded with the sounds of, like, machine gun fire every 6 to 4 minutes, because that's about how long the clips last. Or if they're longer, there's interruptions, and then I gotta sit there and hear the rattle of a machine gun. I don't like it. Why are we doing that to each other? Like, I don't know. I think the people need to rethink that ad, and I'm choking up again. So the other thing that I saw was there's no prize for best victim. And it made me think, this is going to go longer than I intended. It made me think of another thing that I wanted to talk about, that was, did you ever think about, ... Did you ever think about how, like, strong men, like men that really are strong, and I don't mean like they can lift up something heavy necessarily, I mean, sure, that's great, whatever, but what I mean by strong is that they're not constantly having to say, I'm smart, I'm strong, I'm powerful. Like the people that are just exuding confidence, or maybe even not, just someone that's not just constantly, you know, telling you about them. Especially the ones that are out there telling you that people are getting them and people are against them, and they have nothing to say about these people except insults and things wrong with them. And other people, if, like, do you ever think about that though? Like the strong ones, the ones that you can truly admire for their strength and other things, like not whining, you don't hear them out there talking themselves up. Their actions speak for them far better than words ever could. You ever think about that? I have more to say on that, but not now. Because it's getting hard to talk. So, yeah. The love and the fear, that's all there is. It's, I think, hard to think about stopping completely doing things that you've always done. But I think I'm going to try and do that. I think that I'm going to try to operate from the love position as much as I can, now that the perimeters for me are clearly defined. Like, the fear contains a lot of things that I consider to be kakara, and the love does not. And that'll just mean that I can stop doing stuff I don't want to be doing anyway on the fear side. So I feel like that's a win. And now I'm done talking. Thank you and good night.